47 years after China's reform and opening up began in 1978, another major milestone in the country's opening up is about to unfold. On December the 18th, the island-wide Special Customs Operations of Hainan Free Trade Port, or FTP, will be officially launched, giving outside investors the most open access to China's economy to date. Sweeping trade and tax liberalization policies will be in place, aimed at boosting investment, trade and industrial development on China's southernmost tropical island. What sets the Hainan FTP apart? What opportunities will Hainan bring to international investors, consumers, business people and holidaymakers? Welcome to the special edition of The Point, an opinion show coming to you from Beijing. I'm Li Xin. I'm pleased to be joined from Haikou, the provincial capital of Hainan, by Yu Tao, Director of Research Center for Public Diplomacy and Hainan Openness at the National Institute for South China Sea Studies. From Hong Kong, by Dr. Henry Ho, expert group member of the Chief Executive Policy Unit of Hong Kong. From Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, by Ong T. Keat, President of the Belt and Road Initiative Caucus for Asia Pacific and former Transport Minister of Malaysia. Last but not least, Charlotte Magnet, International Investment Manager at Sanya Yazhou Bay SciTech City Administration Bureau. The warmest welcome to all of you. First of all, let's look at the big picture behind this very important date. As I mentioned, that day, December the 18th of 1979, was an extremely important day in China's history, basically the starting point of a sea change in terms of China's development. I want to go to Yu Tao for your background information here. Why is this time December 18th is chosen as a date for the Hainan Free Trade Port to officially be launched?
Well, this date is a very important date for China's opening up. So after 46 years, Hainan decided to establish this free trade port and start this new regulating model we so-called this island-wide special customs operation. So this date, the reason we choose date is because it's like a symbol for China's highest degrees opening up in the future, so which is the Hainan Free Trade Port.
Well, you talk about special customs operation. This is a very special term, and I want everybody to repeat after me. The island-wide special customs operation. I want to go to Dr. Henry Ho here. In your understanding, exactly what does the special customs operation of Hainan Free Trade Port mean?
Well, I think first of all, although it is called island-wide customs closure, it signifies a more opening, an unprecedented opening up of Hainan Island. To my understanding, it refers to what we call the first line and second line approach. The first line will be liberalized, meaning Hainan will be open to the rest of the world in terms of flow of goods, people, investment, etc. But at the same time, there's a second line control, meaning that between Hainan and the rest of the Chinese mainland, there will be some kind of customs control, but it won't be as stringent as normal, border control. So in this case, it has a kind of policy innovation, which on one hand it opens up to the rest of the world, and on the other hand it maintains some kind of control between Hainan and the rest of China.
Mr. Ong T. Keat, you, I understand, have been observing and actually fact-finding about the free trade port for quite some time. What is your understanding of the special customs operation? Exactly, what does it do?
Thank you. Well, to my understanding, the core of Hainan's institutional innovation is the independent customs operation model, designed around two conceptual boundaries. The first is the external boundary, the first line liberalization, which allows freer access to the overseas goods entering Hainan, exempted from import duties, VAT, and consumption tax. And presumably the proportion of zero tariff products is going to increase tremendously from 21% to 74%. That is the latest information I got. And the second line control actually marks the boundary between Hainan and mainland China. That marks the regulated access with customs oversight for goods entering mainland from Hainan, with special tax exemption granted to goods processed in Hainan with no less than 30%.
Yeah. Ms. Magnet, in your understanding, what does this new policy do to Hainan? In layman's and laywomen's term, how should we understand this?
Sure. Well, actually, to me, the understanding is the fact that Hainan Island is becoming the entrance door for the foreign market to reach the Chinese market. So basically, this zero tariff policy that Mr. Qi just explained is the fact that a company that is located in Hainan can import all its products at a zero tariff. So no import tax, consumption tax, and value-added taxes. But of course, as the second line is controlled, if those finished products enter the China mainland, then this is where the import tax is paid. But a very good policy has been in Hainan to help those foreign companies actually reach the Chinese market is the 30% added value. So basically, a company in Hainan Island that imports its raw material at a zero tariff in Hainan and process these material to create a new product, then this finished product, if its value is 30% higher than the product that it had imported originally, it can then re-export this finished product to China mainland at a zero tariff as well. So this really has a way for foreign companies and to reach the Chinese market more conveniently and at a lower cost as well.
Mr. Yu, let me go back to you. How much will the Hainan Free Trade Port make a difference for China's overall development? Can you give us some numbers, for instance? Because right now, trade and trading is already, in general, pretty much facilitated. I mean, China is very much a trading nation. And how much will the free trade port of Hainan further drive that trend?
What I want to add is about the first line and second line, and then come back to the your question is for Hainan's opening up. Definitely, we want Hainan to become like an opening gate for China, right? So that means Hainan is the highest degree of opening up.
People say that a lot, the highest degree of opening up. Exactly what do you mean?
In the future, in the future, now is not the highest degree, but the target we want create Hainan.
But what are the barometers?
Become the most opening up area, opening to the rest, opening up to the outside world. So when we want to achieve this target, we establish this special customs operation. We call this island-wide independent customs operation. So the first line meaning opening up. So what we want opening up is, it should be emphasized that it's for market entities, it's for companies, institutions. When they want import, goods from overseas, they can join the zero tariff benefit. From the date 18th of December, the 74% of the import goods that the companies import from overseas will enjoy the zero tariff benefits. But for the second line, that means in the mainland part of China, some of those products still need to pay tariff. So when those items enter into the second line, enter into the mainland part of China, we need to control the risk. What is the risk? It's the smuggling risk, right? So that's the purpose of this island-wide special customs operations concept is. We know that for this customs operation is only about one regulating department, which is the customs, right? But in a bigger picture, Hainan's opening up is not just about trading goods, because import zero tariff goods is really about trading goods, right? But in trading service, in other aspects, China want to make Hainan as an opening up platform. So on top of those liberalization and facilitation in terms of goods, in terms of trading goods, we also want to make much more achievements, or we want to more opening up in terms of trading service, in terms of people entry and in, in terms of capital flow in.
Yeah.
So also for transportation, also for data flow. So those other areas are really the main policies for Hainan's opening up.
I know time is very limited and there's a lot to unpack, but I do want to ask what kind of opportunity will this bring to international investors, for instance, or international traders? And I want to go to Dr. Ho there. How do you see that this Hainan Free Trade Port will potentially benefit international investors, and in what way? What is your understanding?
I think for Hainan, it will have very preferential tax policies. Namely, for the profit tax of companies, it will be around 15% for specific industries, and for personal income tax for those high-end talents, also a maximum of 15%. And this would be quite attractive. I think it's close to what Hong Kong is offering. And also for the customs tax, unless for those under the negative list, it will be free. So I see this as quite an attractive policies for those overseas investors and also those talents.
Professor Ho, because you come from Hong Kong, from your perspective, what would people potentially try to get from Hainan that they cannot get in Hong Kong?
Well, I want to mention about the consumption, the tax-free shopping, because I've conducted a study 2 years ago to study how the Hainan tax-free shopping system is working. Now, everyone, including Chinese citizens and also foreigners, they're entitled to 100,000 renminbi tax-free limit per year, which is a lot, and it facilitates a lot of tax-free shopping there. My team has been there, and it also has a kind of a closed loop system to avoid so-called smuggling. And so for visitors, they when they show their return air tickets, they can shop at those designated malls and then get their products on the way back.
So
And one thing new after the
yeah.
the new policy is that it will also apply to non-domestic flight. Before it applied only to domestic flight. So people from Hong Kong and from overseas, they can also enjoy this when they fly directly back from Hainan to Hong Kong or the rest of the world.
Okay, so international consumers can also fly into Hainan and enjoy the duty-free shopping. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Ong T. Keat there. What would business people in Malaysia, for instance, potentially look for in Hainan after the inauguration of the port?
I think as a Malaysian here, now I'm more attracted by the upcoming Yang Pu International Containerized Port. That is going to be a real large port accommodating larger vessels. This is one of the bright spots. And on top of that, of course, the electronic customs clearance. That is part of the trade facilitation that Hainan FTP is going to have. And certainly, this is going to be another pull factor. And just now, Dr. Ho did mention about the tax-free shopping. That means to say, ultimately, Hainan is not just a free trade port for the investors, but also for international tourists. International tourists, and also at the same time, attracting talents in demand.
Yeah.
Talents in demand from all over the world.
Yeah.
And these are the few things that I hope can make Hainan a success.
Yeah, we don't even have the time to get there. There's so much to unravel in this whole concept. Mr. Yu,
Yeah.
you can jump in now, please.
Okay, thank you. Previously, Hainan's free trade ports implemented an offline duty-free shopping policy, for duty-free shopping. That's especially for the Chinese citizens. Each Chinese citizen, each person can have an annual off-island duty-free shopping amount, 100,000 RMB. But on the 1st of November this year, Hainan Free Trade Port adjusted this policy and introduced offline and departure duty-free shopping in Hainan FTP. In other words, duty-free shopping is not only available, for domestic travelers. It is now available not only for the customers traveling to mainland China, but also for those who traveling abroad. Additionally, for foreign consumers, foreign tourists, when they visit Hainan, they can also purchase high quality Chinese products, at our duty-free stores. Before the 1st of November, you can only buy import stuffs in the duty-free stores. But now you can buy the products which are made in China. When they buy those products, they can they exempt from the consumption tax and the value-added tax. So it's like a tax rebate. So which is really good for the overseas travelers. So therefore, foreign consumers can buy Chinese products duty-free at the duty-free stores on Hainan Island, especially products like silk, which is highly favored by the foreign consumers as they represent Chinese culture. So Hainan's current duty-free shopping policy, we call this an off-land and departure duty-free shopping policy, covering all consumers, both at home and abroad. This implementation of the policy plays a very important role in Hainan's construction of an international tourism and consumption center. That's one of our important positioning. In the future, after the implementation of the island-wide independent customs operation, Hainan will continue to innovate its shopping policy, duty-free shopping policy.
I see.
Better enhance consumers' shopping experience.
Yeah. Well, I think a whole new episode needs to be dedicated to the topic of, tourist destination shopping and so on and so forth. But I want to jump a little bit to SciTech, because right now we talked about talents as well, and it's very much important for the island's success. Ms. Magnet, you are the international officer in charge of the Administration Bureau of Yazhou Bay SciTech City. How does that work? What is a SciTech city and how do you work?
Of course. So as I was saying, the Yazhou Bay SciTech City is one of the 13 key projects that build the Hainan Free Trade Port. So they were created back in 2018 or 2019 when it was announced that Hainan would become a free trade port. And they had permission to put in place and test all the new preferential policies that were released, but also to attract new types of industries and new type of talents to create new business environments in Hainan. So Yazhou Bay SciTech City, we focus on 4 main industries, which are agriculture technology with a focus on seed breeding, marine technology with a focus on deep sea research, but also life science with biotechnology and digital economy in general. So in the SciTech City, I'm in charge of international investments. So basically, I'm helping foreign companies to set up entities in Hainan and to use all the preferential policies that Hainan is offering for them to operate more conveniently in China.
Yeah.
So to my understanding from the experience I had with the few companies that we've attracted in Hainan so far is that one key aspect that attract foreign companies, for example, is the fact that, as we say, the environment is more open. More open, why is, first of all, is because you know that in China there is a negative list for foreign investment. So there is a list of industries that foreign investors are not allowed to participate in. But in Hainan Island, this negative list has been greatly reduced. So there are some industries, for example, telecommunication and data processing, that foreign companies are allowed to invest in and operate in, and this only happens in Hainan. There is also the fact that we set up the QFLP, which is Qualified Foreign Limited Partner. So foreign investors and foreign companies are now allowed in Hainan to set up funds to invest in Chinese companies and to invest in the Chinese stock market as well. To facilitate these investments, Hainan has also created specific bank account called electronic fence account, EF accounts. So those accounts have much more, they work a little bit like an offshore account. So there's much less control to receive and send money from abroad without it to passing directly through the mainland market, which facilitates a lot those foreign companies that needs to invest in Hainan, but also local companies that want to invest abroad.
Wow, that's already a lot of information to unpack there. But Henry, Dr. Henry Ho, shouldn't people in Hong Kong be a little bit nervous that you have a competitor right next to you or very close to you, which are offering, a whole ecosystem of preferential policies for trade liberalization?
Well, I think Hong Kong is still very different from Hainan. Hong Kong, we operate under one country, two systems. We have a capitalist open economy. Uh, in terms of GDP, I think we are like 3 times more than Hainan. So I agree with Charlotte that I think it will be important to import more talents to Hainan, because as a province, it has only 10 million people, probably one of the least populated province in China. And I think Hainan needs a lot of talented people to create more market size and also more development opportunities. And I see a lot of collaboration potential between Hong Kong and Hainan. And I know there are already between officials or business sector to explore how Hong Kong can enhance Hainan's capacity in terms of professional services or financial services, and also the rule of law, services, etc. So I don't see a competitor, but we can help each other.
Mr. Ontikit, when Malaysian business people go and find out about the Hainan Free Trade Port, what is the number one question they're most concerned with or they're most interested in finding out? And what is the answer they're getting from Hainan?
To tell you the truth, no, right from the start, actually a lot of Malaysians, particularly the Chinese, ethnic Chinese Malaysians, now we are not really mindful of the FTP, the upcoming FTP, but rather Hainan to many of us is well known as a province with a lot of overseas connection. And I myself am one of the descendants of Hainanese.
I see.
And that explains why, Hainan FTP is certainly dear to my heart. And referring back to your question, I would say generally the industry players in Malaysia, particularly the logistic players, they have been yearning for a real containerized port in Hainan. And just now I did mention about the Yangpu containerized port. And that might be the solution to meet their aspirations. And I'm certainly hopeful to see that, end of the day, Hainan is not just a FTP per se, but also a hub for connectivity in all respects, air connectivity, maritime connectivity, and also human connectivity. Because don't forget, Hainan can play the gateway to Southeast Asia and beyond. And this is one of the rare competitive edges that Hainan has vis-a-vis other provinces.
Mr. Yu, you've heard the heartfelt aspirations of expatriates and people of Chinese origin, and of course international business people who are what they're looking for in terms of connectivity, in terms of port, for instance. Certainly the infrastructure is extremely important, and the software. I understand there will be 8 ports connecting Hainan with the other regions and economies, and 10 ports connecting Hainan to the domestic areas. Correct me if I'm wrong. How much work has gone into making these ports up for the task?
Well, in terms of the island-wide special customs operation, in terms of upgrading Hainan's port, we have 8 first-line opening point, and we have 10 second-line regulating point. So we need to improve the port and customs facilities. We have make sure that the orderly implementation of the first-line liberalization, second-line control supervision system under the premise of controllable risk. We want to balance the risk. Make the major risk is smuggling. So this will be a better support Hainan's new trade status in the future. We have taken measures to optimize and upgrade both the software and hardware of the ports. For example, we are accurately optimizing and upgrading the construction of venues at the first line and second line ports, as well as the data connection, data sharing, and the personal training with the ports. So that's the effort we have been made in the past, a couple of years.
In terms of personnel travels, I understand there will be a total of nearly 90 countries from around the world which will enjoy visa-free entry into Hainan. Some of these numbers, I understand 49 countries are enjoying a visa-exempt preferential policy to go to Hainan alone. Charlotte, let me come to you again. How much will that facilitate the kind of visits, the kind of business activities in Hainan in the future, involving Hainan in the future?
I mean, it will have great positive impact. Already now we see that impact because we have 59 countries, as you said, that can come to Hainan Island without visa for up to 30 days. So that, first of all, of course, attract tourism in general, which is the #1 industry in Sanya, and the city in the south of Hainan Island, which is a great impact. But apart from tourism, it also brings a lot of positive impact. For example, in Yacho Bay SciTech City, we deal a lot with scientific research and international collaboration in scientific research. So having the possibility of scientists from all over the world being able to travel to Hainan to collaborate with our local research institutes, also the possibility to organize international events and international conferences where those people can gather freely in Hainan very conveniently. It's a huge advantage for our island in general. And then finally, in terms of attracting talents, I do believe foreigners as myself, we never heard a lot about Hainan Island before, and a lot of people have never been to China before either.
Yeah.
So having the possibility to just visit Hainan Island before deciding to opening a company here or settle down in Hainan Island is a huge advantage to show actually also the quality of life and the amazing environment that we have in Hainan Island.
Well, since we're talking about it, Charlotte, it does intrigue me a bit. I understand you were originally from Belgium. What made you decide to settle in Hainan? What is the biggest reason for you to stay here?
Well, I do believe that since I've been living in Hainan for almost 7 years now, but the reason I really stayed in Hainan and really enjoy living here is the fact that, to me, it has the perfect balance between quality of life, which is we have this tropical weather, these beautiful environments. We are in the middle of the nature as well. It's a perfect balance between that, but also lots of opportunities. It's an area that is developing extremely fast, and there are more and more opportunities for foreigners like myself and for talents who want to advance their career and also create new projects and innovate. I do believe to have the balance between those. There are very few places on earth that offer such a great balance. And then another aspect as well is that Hainan and Yacho Bay SciTech City has developed really good advantageous policies for talent as well. So we offer, the SciTech City offer cash advantages, cash rewards for talent just for working full-time in Yacho Bay SciTech City. So those talents are divided in 6 categories from A to F and can receive between 400,000 and 4 million RMB as a cash reward.
Wow.
Just for moving to Yacho Bay and working full-time here.
Serious.
So those cash incentives, of course, helps a lot to attract a lot of high-quality talents to our SciTech City.
For the time being, we have to leave it there. Many thanks to my guests, Dr. Henry Ho, Mr. Yu Tao, Ong T. Keat, and last but not least, Charlotte Magnet. Thank you so much for helping us understand Hainan Free Trade Port a little bit better. And with that, we come to the end of this special edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and X using the handle Liu Xin in Beijing. On behalf of the whole team, thank you for watching. You've got the point.